Hello everyone and welcome back to Arctic Retro. In today's video I'm gonna take another look at the Commodore 64 that I recently got, and yeah, while I have made a lot of videos about the C64 and the restoration work on that machine, I still enjoy working with this machine, and I recently got this one with a floppy disk drive and a cassette deck, and I have just briefly tested it, and I thought I'll do a full restoration on those items in this video. So I really can't get enough of the Commodore 64s, and this one, after restoring it, I think I'll just hand it over to somebody else that wants to enjoy a C64. Alright, let's get right to it then and see what we have. So I got the Commodore 64 boxed. The box looks very nice. A little bit wear and tear, that's completely normal, I guess. It also contains a power supply. I'm gonna test that, and yeah, I also got this 1541 boxed single floppy disk. I don't remember if I have tested the floppy disk drive, but I'm certainly gonna do that now. I'm also gonna open it up and do some servicing on that. And also we got this cassette player, but I don't think that's the actual player. No, this is a regular Commodore cassette player, so gonna take a look at that as well, see if it works, and do some servicing on it. Alright, let's get these things out of their boxes. The styrofoam has a serial number. It says 52958. Let's see if that's the same as the computer. Yes, 52958, so that's a match. I know that the serial number is important for some collectors. I don't really care that much. So there's the floppy disk drive, and that actually looks much nicer than the machine. You see the color difference. They should be the same color, and this one has a Norwegian manual, and the machine didn't have any documentation with it. So I bought this complete set with the machine and a lot of yeah, games and stuff from a seller here locally. I paid like 300 euros for it total, and I think that was a good price. However, I think I'm just gonna restore these and then I'm gonna sell them, because I already got a lot of C64s and floppy disk drives. So the machine looks alright, but it's very dirty between the keys. A lot of dust and dirt down there, I guess. So I will of course do a full cleaning of the keyboard. Let's hook these up to the TV and see if they work. But first I'm gonna check the power supply, see if it has correct voltages. So this power supply has a plug with only 4 pins in it, and there should be 5 volts on those two, and AC 9 volts on those. So let's check and see if that's correct. It's a little bit difficult to measure these DIN contacts. I'm gonna thread some sleeves over the pins, and that makes it easy to measure those pins. No, my mistake, I measured the wrong pins. This one on the top is of course the 5 volts. Yeah, and we have exactly 5 volts, so yeah, that's a good one. Let's check the AC. That's those 2 pins there. Yeah, 10 volts at 50 hertz. So yeah, this power supply is then good to use, at least for now. But still I'm gonna use this modern one because I don't trust these old ones. Alright, so the question now is, does it still work? Yes, look at that nice blue color on the screen. So that picture actually looks very good. Gonna change to white and yeah, let's make a little program. See if the keyboard works. I hooked up the floppy drive now and yeah, I'm gonna turn it on and see if it initializes. When it initializes, the red LED should turn on for a while and it spins up and then it turns off the red LED. Yeah, so seems to be working, initializing. Gonna try this Spitfire 40. See if I can load that. Yeah, alright, look at that. Copyright 1985. This takes a long time, there's no fast load on this game. Yeah, the thing loaded. I'm not gonna play this game, just checking that it is working, and it is. What about this cassette player? It has some loose parts inside. So I'm gonna test, see if it works. So I have a cassette here, Teenage Mutant Turtles. Load. Yeah, it found Turtles. Seems to have a fast loader as well. So we don't have to wait 10-15 minutes like we had to do back in the day when the first cassette games came for the C64. I mean, 10 to 15 minutes was normal loading time. Now with the fast loads it took only a couple of minutes. Yeah, that worked all right. Oh no, it has a copy protection. You have to look up code. I don't have anything but the box, so yeah, I'm a bit stuck there. But then I just went to the internet and I visited c64copyprotection.com, and there I found the code sheet, and H18 should be 1659. Finally it loaded. Okay, just need to try this just a little bit. So the machine works just great, and the floppy disk drive too, and the cassette also. So now it's time to do some restoration work here. I'm gonna open up the machine, and yeah, I'm also gonna start on some retrobrighting process. So I'm gonna take a break now, and I'm gonna place the machine out in the sun because we have a nice sunny cold day here in the Arctic today. So that helps a lot, a few hours in the sun. Alright, the machine was out for a few hours. I don't think there is any visible change to it yet. But now I'm gonna open up this machine and take a look inside and see what we can find there. So I figured I better take it apart before I do any more retrobrighting, because I want to clean up the plastics before I retrobright it, obviously. So it seems to be stuck somewhere. Can't open it. That was kind of strange. I can't open this machine, and I don't want to use too much force and break anything. It's loose on that side, but maybe it's glued. That was strange. I actually had to use a little bit force and some loud snaps. So I think maybe there's been done some work to this, and something has been repaired. Yeah, I can see this fastening here has some paper in it and glue. There's obviously glue, but look at all that dust. Yeah, take a look at that. That's a very dusty Commodore 64 motherboard. Yeah, it's 407 revision A from 1983. It says copyright 1983. Besides all the dust and dirt, this board looks really nice, and yeah. All the big chips are in socket, that's good. All the smaller ones are not, that's normal. Yeah, I think I'm gonna recap this machine, we'll see. Yes. Alright, so I'm just gonna clean everything up here, and then we can see what's on the menu next. The keyboard was quite dirty, so I'm gonna take it off the case and remove all the keycaps and clean everything up. Oh, that's a lot of dust and dirt. Then I removed the motherboard just to make sure I can clean up all the plastics. Also gonna blow away all the dust down in my garage. Yummy. It's raining and the snow is now disappearing slowly. While I have blown away most of the dust, there's still a lot left and dirt that's stuck to the plastic. So I'm just going to remove all the keycaps and take a look under. Okay, that looks kind of horrible, full of dirt and smuts, and yeah, all the keycaps on the sides are full of dirt. All the springs are full of dust, and there's also several of the springs has corrosion on them, so I need to deal with that. The spring for the spacebar is a little bit bigger, and as you can see, there's corrosion there, yeah. But now the keyboard plate and the keycaps gets a good cleaning in some hot soapy water. So that cleaned up rather nicely. Also cleaned the keycaps, and I also did some outdoors retrobrighting on these, and now the letters are white and not yellow. Also did some retrobrighting, as you saw, with the case outside, and yeah, no, it actually looks rather nice, and as the original color, don't you think, compared to the back side, which was not yellowed. And this was only using the sun, and I think I used around 10 hours total. For the springs, I just rinse them in water and then quickly dry them, and yeah, the little corrosion on some of them I'm just gonna remove by using this little steel brush on this little Dremel copy. Well, upon closer inspection, it turns out the majority of the springs has rust, and yeah, more than half. So I'm gonna brush off these, and then I'm gonna use a little bit of WD-40 to neutralize the rest. For the motherboard, I mean, even how hard I blew it with Lots of compressed air down in the garage, and that's the one I use for my car tires and bike tires. There's still a lot of leftover dust on the PCB, so I'm gonna try and clean that off now with some alcohol. I think this machine has been used a lot. If you see the user port here, you can see that particular pin there. The gold is wiped away, and you see the copper, and isn't that the pin you used for a reset switch? You could just use the ground wire from the cassette player and touch it on that pin, and that would reset the machine if it crashed. So these are nice Commodore motherboards. I once made a video series where I built a Commodore motherboard like this. It was the KU motherboard, the KU version, from a newly made replica, and I built up the whole machine from scratch, and that was quite fun. And now I'm pretty soon gonna do that again. I actually got another brand new motherboard for a Commodore 64C, and that motherboard is a replica designed by BWAC, and I just got one copy of that fantastic motherboard made by PCBWay in all gold and transparent mask, so that will be amazing, and I'm really looking forward to building that. I have ordered most of the parts that I need. So that's coming up, video where I built a Commodore 64C. So if you want to watch that, then you definitely should subscribe and follow this channel, I guess. This motherboard is now cleaned up. It looks very nice, and I'm gonna replace the electrolyte capacitors, these old big ones here, and around 10 of the smaller ones. Not completely necessary, however, that's a measure you can do to prolong the life of these machines. Eventually these caps will fail and die, they dry in or start leaking, and that can of course lead to breaking the machine. Back to the springs, I actually decided to put them in some vinegar because I thought the springs just they smelled like really like acidy, so yeah, I just want to remove that corrosion. Having them here like 10-15 minutes, then I'm gonna rinse them off with some alcohol and then add a little WD-40 to them, and then we're ready to assemble the keyboard. And you can see already the vinegar is working, all those bubbles removing the corrosion. I'm not a chemist, but I guess the corrosion is maybe basic, and the vinegar is acid, and this is the reaction from those two combined. When this liquid settles down, then this reaction is finished, and the vinegar has eaten away all the corrosion. That's how I think it works. I'm not really sure. If you know differently, then just tell me in the comments. Springs are all good and clean. They are now a little bit more black than what they were before, but still, now I'm gonna assemble this keyboard. Alright, so final thing remaining with this motherboard is to replace the electrolyte capacitors. This is a kind of an early motherboard. It looks like it has some strange capacitor values, like these two are normally 1000 microfarads, but here they are 417, and all the small ones are 10 microfarad, 50 volts, but normally they are 25 volts. So yeah, I don't have these 470 microfarad ones. I have the 1000 ones that I usually use on the C64 board, so I'm gonna use those anyway. I don't think that matters. This one is the 2200, that one I have, and all the rest I have are 25 volts, which I actually checked on the schematics. On there it's marked as 10 microfarad 25 volts, not 50 volts. Alright, so I'm gonna quickly replace the capacitors now. Yeah, and here inside the can I have taken off the lid now, and we can see the VIC-2 chip. It's one of those nice older ceramic chips, very nice. You know what? I didn't notice until now. This is one of those early KU motherboards, KU-14194HB. I have never seen that before in real life. I only have the replica I have been talking about before. So that's kind of cool. And that's why this board have some strange things here and there. For example, it has this strange bodge wire here going from the power switch over to the power DIN connector. 100 microfarad goes there. 10 microfarad goes there. Alright, doesn't that look nice with brand new red and blue caps? I think that looks really awesome on this KU motherboard. So the recapping is now completed. I didn't bother with the RF modulator. It has some electrolyte capacitors, but it's very hard to get them out, and I need to then desolder the whole box, and that's kind of difficult. And I guess most don't use it anymore anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Well, it could matter because this is also responsible for generating the composite video signal that goes out to the video port, but I'm not really sure. I usually never recap the RF modulator anyway. Alright, so final thing, a little bit of new thermal paste on the VIC-2 chip here. Just a brief test now before I assemble the machine, just to see if it's still working. Yes, it does, and the picture still looks very nice. Alright, I'm gonna assemble the machine, and then I'm gonna move over to the 1541 floppy disk drive, see what we can do with that. Oh, and I forgot, I actually want to have some heat sinks on the various chips, just to make them run a little bit cooler and last hopefully a little bit longer. Most important chips to cool down is the CPU, the SID chip and the PLA, and obviously the VIC-2, but it already has cooling through this shield here. Yeah, like that. I'm gonna leave out that paper RF shield that was around the motherboard. There's no need for it unless you want the machine to be absolutely original. It just blocks the heat from escaping the machine and makes it hotter. That looks awesome, and yeah, with an early KU machine like this with a serial number of 52,000, which is kind of low, I wonder if this machine would be more valuable than others. I might try to sell it. So I'm running the dead test cartridge now, and that seems to run just fine. Yeah, dead test ran through with no issues. Yeah, I mean, everything seems to work just fine. Now I'm using the Kung Fu Flash cartridge. Yeah, Moon Patrol with a joystick just works fine. Oops. So my conclusion is this Commodore 64 is working 100%. And now let's move over to the 1541 drive. I'm gonna do a little bit of initial diagnostics testing on that, and after that I'm gonna open it up and do some servicing. For diagnostics testing the 1541, I have this 1541 diagnostic cartridge, and yeah, this is a collection of different tools that you can use to run tests on a 1541 drive. So since the machine is working, I guess the most important thing to test is the alignment, and yeah, the first tool here is an alignment check. To do an alignment check, it's important that you have an original floppy disk and not one that has recently been formatted using this particular drive. So I have that Spitfire game in, and yeah, gonna run the alignment check. And here are the different tracks it's testing, and that's the track it actually read, and that's how aligned it is. So as you can see, it's pretty good, perfect. It's 100% on the track. And this number here is the percentage between track, and it is yellow and green, so no issues there as well. It should obviously be as close to 0 as possible. All right, all good then. Then we can try the speed check. That checks the speed of the motor. Okay, it's an error. Okay, let's try once more. That was kind of strange. I mean, it is working. Why isn't it trying to measure the speed? I had that tool working before. Yeah, not really sure. Yeah, there's a lot of tests here. I actually did a whole video a while back where I ran all these performance tests on various kinds of 1541 or Commodore drives. You can take a look at that if you want to. The alignment check was the most important, and it passed there. And yeah, let's open up this drive and see if we can clean it up and do some servicing on it. So opening up these are quite simple. There's 4 screws under. Yeah, and that reveals the motherboard of the drive with these large, very large capacitors. This one has a built-in power supply. Obviously it takes 220 volts input. And the motherboard consists of a 6502 CPU, in fact, that one. It has its own RAM, I think that's the one, and some other chips, some CIA chips, 6522s, there's 2 of those. So you can almost say that this is a complete computer in its own, with its own operating system. The drive is full of dust, there's a lot of it. So I'm gonna remove this PCB and take it down to the garage and blow it free of its misery, and yeah, then I'm gonna clean up the drive mechanism itself. Not gonna do any recapping here. There's not many electrolyte capacitors, there's just one there, and then these 2 large ones here. I don't have these 2 in my stock, so I can't replace them, but hopefully they'll last a little bit more. To remove the motherboard, we simply just take off all these contacts, and there's 4 screws, 1 in each corner. These are quite big capacitors, so they can have quite some charge in them, so I try not to touch the wires just to be on the safe side. I said 4 screws, but there's more than that. There's at least 5 or 6. You also got 2 screws on the other side. Down here. Okay, now this should be loose. And here we have that big transformer. I think this maybe weighs 2 kilograms, at least 1. Yeah, here's the drive mechanism. I'm not gonna do a lot of stuff to this drive because it's working very well. I'm gonna clean it up and lubricate the drive rails and clean the drive head. So now I'm gonna take everything down to my garage and blow away the dust. Actually, I am gonna remove the bottom plastic as well, because I'm gonna clean that up in water. There's 6 screws. Like that. And the plastics goes down to my sink to be cleaned in some real hot soapy water. Okay, the thing is freed from its dust, and still there is a little bit dirt that's stuck down to the board, so just gonna clean it, wipe it a little bit more. So there's quite a few budge wires here, and even 2 resistors. Actually, there's 4 more electrolyte capacitors over here, and these are common values, and this one is 100 microfarad. So I'm gonna replace those because I have those. These big ass caps here, I don't have those values, so I'm probably gonna order those next time. I'm gonna order capacitors and replace them then. We'll see. So I'm quickly gonna replace those, and that way at least I have done a little bit of future proofing here. By the way, these are good brand caps from Wirth, German company, I think. Always nice with something new, isn't it? The actual drive, I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit dirty around the lid here. Just make it look better. I guess the most important thing to clean for a smooth operation is those rails that the read and write head runs along here. These metal bars, they have a little bit of old grease and dirt on them. It's not easy to clean them completely unless you want to take everything apart here, which I'm not gonna do now. Finally, I'm gently cleaning the read and write head, which is down there. I have just a clean cotton swab with some alcohol on, rub it a couple of times while turning it around, and then I switch to a dry side and mop off everything. Actually looks quite clean already. Finally, I use a little bit of silicone grease on the rails and any moving part. You can gently move the read-write head all the way back and just apply a little bit of grease on the sides, and then it will distribute itself when the drive is operating. Couple of other moving parts. Yeah, this one slides on top of there, so just a little bit there. The eject lock mechanism here, and it needs a little bit of lubrication. For this I just use a little bit of silicone spray, not a lot, just to ensure smooth operation. Clean up the excess grease here. Yeah, and now this slides really good, really nice. Alright, the floppy drive is ready. It's been serviced, and hopefully it's now gonna work a little bit better for some time more. And yeah, just gonna assemble it and take it for a little test. And then we're gonna move over to the cassette deck. Yeah, everything seems to work. I know even the drive speed test actually works too, and it says drive speed, it's around 301 RPM, and the normal speed should be 300, so completely normal. Yeah, seems to be loading this Gauntlet game just fine. Yeah, and this one actually had problems with loading before on other drives, so this one seems to work just perfectly. Final thing to check out and fix up is this Commodore cassette player, and it doesn't look very bad. It's a little bit dirty. Yeah, something is loose inside. This is the regular old C2N cassette made in Taiwan. Maybe it has a screw loose. Okay, I'm gonna open this up and clean it up. We already know that it's working, so just need a little bit of servicing. Alright, what do we have here? Yeah, not a screw, but some solder. There's a big blob of solder that has yeah, come loose somewhere. Might be from the factory. As usual on these, there's a lot of gunk, hairs and dust inside the mechanism, and there's also a few rust stains. So I'm gonna take out this mechanism, clean up the plastics, and then clean up the whole mechanism here with some alcohol, and yeah, make it look a little bit better. The belt seems to be in good shape. Plastics, of course, goes down into the bath. First of all, I'm just gonna blow away all the dust. Okay, the dust is gone, and now just a lot of isopropyl alcohol here, and yeah, just mop up as much dirt as possible. Alright, that looks 1,000 times better. And now I'm just gonna scrape off those, yeah, what looks like corrosion, some kind of stains, rust stains. I just scrape it down to the metal, and then I'm gonna use a little bit WD-40. Ideally I should remove that plate, but I'm not really sure how to do that. It's just surface rust anyway, not a lot. Of course, we mustn't forget to clean the backside as well. Okay, I think this is clean enough. Now I'm just spraying a little bit of silicone grease spray here and there where it's moving parts and where I can see that there's been some grease before. Finally, I clean the heads. Also this roller here tend to be a little bit dirty. Yeah. Then some WD-40 on that rust stains with no more rust. Finally, the cable, it's kind of black and dirty, so just wipe it off with some alcohol. Yeah, quite some dirt there. I'm guessing this contact has seen some use, so we might just as well open it up and clean it up a little bit. No, there's no point in taking that contact out. I just spray a little bit of deoxit in the contact itself and that's it. Ta-da! Alright, that came out really nice. Now all clean and hopefully working a little bit better than before. Let's test it briefly. Yep, seems to be working still. Nice. Still amazes me that these old machines and that equipment still works after 40 years. Isn't that cool? Anyway, this was a kind of an easy video, not too advanced, hopefully not too boring. I need to do these kinds of videos from time to time because I get these machines that need some restoration work and I just as well make a video out of it. It's always interesting to see a Commodore 64 in action, isn't it? Alright, thanks a lot for watching and hope you'll hit that subscribe and the like button, and as usual, a special thank you to my Patreons. See you, bye bye.